Welcome back. Let's do some news, shall we? This is the news they're not telling you why everything's going to a level that's catastrophic that none of us have ever seen as far as inflation and everything else is going on. The song and dance January 6th, the disaster that we're calling the Biden administration, the Green New Deal, all the great stuff that we're enjoying this new inclusive world. Just amazing time we're having here with inflation and all the great stuff that's going on. We have this. So this is what the mainstream media is not reporting on. It's kind of a, you pretty much know that something's going on. They're always lying about stuff. They always lie. They're trying to keep everybody dancing. You're just dancing like, oh yeah, January 6th, oh, biggest media event ever. And then you have Zelensky over here warning the U.S. and NATO that there's going to possibly be a nuclear war with Russia because they're losing. So this is actually Zelensky warning the United States and NATO that there's going to possibly be nukes used, that we shouldn't be afraid, we should be prepared. Now this comes from EU Reactive. Ugh. It's a website, pretty credible apparently. It looks like it is. Anyway, Russia has warned the United States that it will be unpredictable consequences if Washington keeps arming Ukraine. So there were some letters sent out to NATO and the United States embassies saying, hey, this is, and it's private, by the way. So the Joe Biden administration, the Belgium head of the EU, the Germans, chancellors, all the other EU people that are just part of the big scam, the Bilderberg groups, they received a note from Russia saying certain things, and one of them was a Crimea bridge that was threatened to be blown up by Ukraine, and they actually showed the blueprint to the bridge to the Russians. So, Russia just said, if you hit that bridge, we're going to blow up whoever sent you those weapons. Little tidbit of information you guys don't pretty much know about, right? I mean, the mainstream media isn't going to tell you anything about that. It's not, I don't say anything about that. No, because they're dancing around nuclear war every minute. Just so we all understand that they have to keep this scam going, the charade, the facade, to make record profits. Never think for a minute that the stock market's going to affect the kleptocratic rich. They don't. They bet on the losing. They bet on the winning. They make money either way. They crush corporations. They invest in gold. One of the big things is gold. And rhodium is dropping. I know rhodium for sure. Rhodium is a very important metal. Very precious metals dropping daily. And I think that's the hedge that the kleptocrats are using after the massive fiat currency debt theft that they orchestrated during the pandemic. That is one of the places they're hiding all the fake money they stole from me and you, that we owe for, by the way, that we're not going to get out of paying. So anyway, basically Russia threatened, they said Russia sent diplomatic notes to the United States and other nations about supplying weapons to Ukraine, but did not say what the message contained, Interfax news agency reported. So that's one of the things they reported on it, saying they all received a note. They all received a note. What was in that note? Did it come on CNN? CNN, oh, breaking news. Russia just sent a note to every diplomat that's in NATO. Yeah, so, we all heard that, right? No, we didn't hear anything about it. Sorry, that's probably some pretty bad noises. Anyway, I'll wait to drink my coffee because that's not fair to you guys. Doesn't listen to that. Anyway, so let's get back to it. We call on the United States and its allies to stop irresponsible militarization of Ukraine, which implies predictable consequences for regional and international security. Russia is saying no to the United States. Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky said Friday that Russia could use nuclear weapons out of desperation as its invasion falters, echoing comments by CIA Director William Burns. The understanding I have of this using nuclear weapons in Ukraine isn't to use nuclear weapons in Ukraine, or limited yield nuclear weapons, or limited strikes, or Cermat 2 missiles. listening to the Russian television, so it's kind of hard to find what's actually happening in Russia, what they're talking about, what their heads of state are saying, or their generals are saying, their commentators, their paid state propagandists are saying, and so when you do the Google search, it's literally levels and layers you have to go through. They're trying to throw stuff back in from February. Google's really, really, really good at this. This is one of the things Google does. It is they like to distract you. That is their goal. Their goal is to take anybody that can get any information and utilize that to the public and say, hey, this is what's going on behind the scenes that you guys are not hearing about because mainstream media refuses to tell you guys the truth because of certain aspects of the financial markets. And if you start to understand the kleptocratic society that rules this world and what they've envisioned for all of us, they're literally trying to kill all of us through nuclear war or famine. That is just it. They don't care. They stole so much money, they wouldn't want you to know, hey, we got to receive a letter, and Russia said you keep doing this, and we're probably gonna have to use nukes on you if you bomb the Crimean Bridge, like what you just said you're going to do, on out in the open, not like a special operation. We're gonna have to use nukes to blow up where these weapons came from, which is Washington, Brussels, and Germany, and and the UK. Basically nuked them with Cermat 2 Satan 2 missiles. And that was brought up on their talk shows, or their state propagandist television networks, was brought up the fact that they were going to have to use nukes eventually. The one guy was saying Russia's not an empire. I can't believe the Russian state television allowed that. That we're just lying to ourselves. We can't do another Cuban Missile Crisis. We can't have that type of thing happening. The other guy, is just like he's Putin's right-hand man. He's like, yeah, well, we'll just use Cermat 2 missiles and just blow them up. Yeah. Just like they reiterated that a world without Russia isn't a world. But the good news on this whole subject is, so Russia is calling the West's sanctions a blitzkrieg on Russia's economy. They're saying it's failed, which it has because of the high price of fuel. Now, the high price of natural gas, these are commodities that are strangulating the EU and the United States. And they're lying about that fact, saying that it's not going to cause problems. Well, magically, inside the United States, we had a compressed natural gas facility go offline, that was being sent to Europe. And it's not going to come back online until next year, or until later this year. Magically. That's a huge hit to the natural gas industry. It's a huge hit to the population of the world that's trying to get off all these fossil fuels, which is basically a pipe dream, is going to run the economy into the toilet, and there's going to be rolling blackouts constantly. But that's a whole nother episode. The other issue I would like to bring up too was the fact that there was actually an oil field in Russia actually did catch fire due to a pipe malfunction, apparently. But we're seeing cyber attacks left and right, which a lot of you guys probably have no idea. Threat blocked. Looks like, what would you like to move to quarantine? So they're trying, we got hacked. We did. We have been hacked before, just recently, by the way. Anyway, there's a lot of things going on that they're not telling everybody about. They're not saying, hey, guess what? This is what's happening. They're not telling all of us what's going on that end of it because they don't want the public to panic. So the U.S., possibly EU, possibly Ukrainians, cyber attacked Vladimir Putin's his speech yesterday. So, or through the night before, because daytime there, nighttime here. So they actually did hack it, and he couldn't go do his speech to the Russian people due to hacking. So we have possibly a hacker war going on between the U.S. infrastructure. We have plants burning down. We have chicken farms burning down. We have food processing plants burning down. We have thousands of dead cattle due to extreme heat in the Midwest. Supposedly, I never actually seen 2,000 head of cattle die from heat, unless they got them all corralled in a little teeny corral and they all died in Kansas, Nebraska, or wherever. Kansas, really bad right now. But we could. It's not really a natural thing that happened. So that could be a weather warfare type thing going on, which I do believe there is an actual weather warfare we are experiencing right now. Be it what side it is, if it's Russia, China, or it's our own corporations that are doing this to us, we are experiencing a type of weather warfare, which we can pretty much understand. This has possibly been going on prior due to the flooding at Yellowstone, the massive amount of snow that fell there, and then the extreme temperatures being pushed up into the Rockies. Another interesting thing is like frost in Montana and Idaho, cold temperatures all of a sudden, massive heat wave back east, Texas, just insane weather patterns, which I like to tell you all the truth. You guys all understand. It's Linebacker 1 and Linebacker 2 Vietnam. We used weather weaponry. We made a raid on the Ho Chi Minh Trail that was funding the Viet Cong, North Vietnamese Army, 1969, I believe, 69 or 70. We made it rain for months across the Ho Chi Minh Trail to slow supply lines to the Viet Cong and Vietnamese during the Vietnam War. The U.S. has advanced weather weapon systems, so does most of the world. This is one thing that people have been kind of blinded to. There's conspiracy theories of chemtrails and all that neat stuff that's going on. Oh, it's chemtrails. We've had weather weapons. It's been admitted, and it's also signed. There's a treaty signed between the world leaders that they will not use weather weapons on their own people. You look this up yourself. This is a thing, people. This is real. It's not a conspiracy theory. Weather weapons are real. And you can look it up through Jesse Ventura's HARP. You can find out what they use for radio waves. We all had to go off analog to digital, free up all the radio waves. But HARP is mobile. HARP is easy to use. They explained to the guy that built HARP actually spent the rest of his life trying to eliminate it because it's such a deadly, powerful weapon for the weather and the atmospheric rivers. It bubbles up the atmosphere, causes atmospheric river changes, heats up and makes the atmosphere hot, causes all kinds of issues. You steer everything, storms, all this stuff. Once you start understanding, you understand what's been happening over the past decade. Massive droughts and all this neat stuff going on. Weather patterns crazy. Massive changes in the jet streams. They talk about the polar bears. They want you guys... Polar bears are dying. They're falling off the ice just because there's no ice and they're swimming everywhere out in the ocean. No. They have weather weapons. They've had them. I don't buy any of their garbage. Really. So, just to get on that. Looks like I got my... let's see, threat may still be lurking. Keep scanning. Okay, so it looks like you're going to scan, resolve. Yeah, I just basically got hit with a virus as soon as I started this video. So, just to give you guys all that heads up. So anyway, Zelensky himself warned us that Russia's losing. So if they are losing, they could possibly use nuclear weapons. We call on the United States and its allies to stop the irresponsible militarization. We talked about that. He says Ukraine President Vladimir Zelensky said Friday Russia could use nuclear weapons out of desperation. Asked about the threat, Zelensky said all the world should be worried about Russia. When Russia began to speak about nuclear weapons or some chemical weapons. All the world should be worried when Russia started talking about the use of nuclear weapons. This is Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, saying you should be, you should be worried. You know, give me more weapons, long-range weapons. Give me long-range. I need missiles that'll hit Moscow. And he just warns all of us. You should be prepared, not really worried. Because the next sentence he says, yeah, you should be worried. The world should be worried. Russia could use nuclear or chemical weapons on the world. Yeah, could happen. But asked about the threat, Zelensky said all the world should be worried. So let's go to the next one. They could do it. I mean, they can. Really? What? How did they could actually use nuclear weapons? They're actually a heavily armed nuclear nation, one of the biggest, most deadliest nations on planet Earth. But, you know, he's saying we should be worried a little bit. It's amazing. He says, I mean, they could use it, he told CNN. For them, life of the people is nothing. Let's not be afraid. Be ready, he said. I'd like to send a little message to President Zelensky and all the representatives out there in the world. We don't have a way to be ready unless you want to build massive bunkers across the world. Now, if we're going to build underground cities like China has, or like Russia has, big massive bunkers to hold the population, we could probably be prepared. Be like, yeah, I like those nukes because we want to live underground because the surface of the planet is insane and the insaniacs have overran the insane asylum. It's all go underground. But that ain't happening. That is not happening. So this is what's going on in the news that they're not telling you about. Why we're just dancing to everything else. Oh, let's dance to this music. We got all the music going on with the January 6th worst day that ever happened with Buffalo Head guy, which he wasn't wearing really buffalo horns, I don't think, like this, because this is a buffalo I hunted. It was a wild bison, one of the last herds left in the United States. But looks like I have 15 viruses. Wow. Anyway, so Buffalo Head guy with the coyote skin on his head walked in January 6th riot. You know, the biggest thing that ever happened, which nothing actually came out of the January 6th hearings, by the way, guys. I hope you guys didn't tune into that, give them any kind of ratings, because apparently nothing actually really came out except that really Rudy Giuliani was drunk. Yeah, we know Rudy Giuliani was drunk during the election. Imagine that. Well, that's just Trump's taking some. Yeah, that's about it. Anyway, back to the threat of World War III and try to get rid of all these magical viruses that just pile drived my computer. U.S. cannot take lightly threat. Russia could use nuclear weapons. CIA chief. Did that show up in the nightly news last night? Did the CNN come on and say, hey, this is a U.S. cannot take lightly the threat that Russia could use nuclear weapons. That was from the CIA, Central Intelligence Agency. Said, yeah, you just can't take this lightly because they could use them. Captain Obvious. Captain Obvious. Okay, the threat of Russia potentially using tactical or low-yield nuclear weapons in Ukraine cannot be taken. They're not going to use tactical or low-yield weapons in Ukraine unless it's to blow Kiev up. And then Poland's next. And then it's everybody's next. If they loose one nuke, they're going to nuke all of us. It doesn't matter. They're not going to just pick. We're going to blow up just this one Kiev. No, they're going to blow you all up. That's what they're saying on all the news networks in Russia. They're actually coming out saying, Cermat 2 missiles will take out the state of Texas. One or two. Done. Gone. History. Blow them up. UK's gone. Poland, there won't be a Poland left. There isn't going to be NATO. There's going to be none of this stuff. It'll be just, if one nuke goes, guys, just get ready. But that would solve the economic massive catastrophe they have caused by Janet Yellen passing out bazillions of dollars across the planet to make the ultra-rich even richer. It would solve it all. Inflation would be gone. They have to worry about being elected out, the massive loss of power by the kleptocrats in Washington. They could just nukes. That would just solve it all. One nuclear strike, limited nuclear strike. Well, let's get on that subject. So way back in the day. Allergies are horrible. Wind is bad, guys. So back in the day, I had a vision. And I was, this is when I told you guys before, when Vladimir Putin was still in office back in like the 2000s, I woke up in my dream and I hear from the south, I hear explosions, just, bad, boom, boom, and just like the ground shook, everything shook, it was just crazy. And I remember the walls shaking and stuff, and it was over in an instant. And somehow, in my vision, Russia had launched a limited strike on the U.S., from Venezuela, Brazil, wherever, or it seemed like that to me. And the U.S. was done. Just like Nagasaki and Hiroshima, just like the Japanese Empire, done within like 24 hours. We were completely and utterly unconditional surrender at that point. It was way back in the day. This before Putin got out of office and the other puppet president came in and he got reelected back in. Because I was told by people close to me that my vision would never come true. But then he got back into office. And I was like, no, and it was no war between us. Went to the Trump era, no war between us. 2014, there was a war starting between us and Russia again. That went out when Obama went out, and Trump got in. That kind of stopped. So I was like, thinking, oh, that vision must have been a weird. And here we are. Here we are. But that's what the vision said. Thermonuclear strike, limited, took out Washington, possibly California, San Diego, all the major hubs, military hubs, and the U.S. unconditionally surrendered. Because in my vision, the U.S. had been lying about its intercontinental ballistic missile systems. Just like it did Star Wars back in the 80s. When the 90s, we brought down the wall, they lied about that. Reagan lied about it, said we could blow you up in space. We had no technology. That was truth. That's factual. That's why the Russians actually, Gorbachev decided to bring down the wall, because we had the threat of nuclear weapons. We supposedly had Star Wars. That was a psychological operation on the Russian Federation, or which then was the Soviet Union. That's what I think we have now. I think we have extremely old technology. I think we have to get all of our rocket boosters from Russia, and I think the United States is done when it comes to nuclear weapons. I think we have maybe Minuteman II missile systems, very few, and I don't think they're going to get off the ground. If people say, no, we have all this, we have all this. Okay, well, that ain't going to matter with the Cermat II missile. It's just not. 10 nuclear super hypersonic glider nuclear warheads. It'll take out Texas. This is like checkmate. This is literally like checkmate. And even Zelensky's warning you. And then the CIA. This CIA director knows what's going on. Don't let him lie to you. It's about the precious markets. Markets are failing. They got their interest rate hike. And now they're just going to start admitting stuff to all of us. Anyway, so let's go check out what's going on here. Russia says blast crippled Black Sea flagship. Ukrainian claims missile strike. Russia said that Thursday, the 14th of April, the flagship of its Black Sea fleet was seriously... April, May. That was really clear back in April. We don't know that was way back in the day. So anyway, I don't know why they have that on this, but this site actually does have that. So let's get back to that. Was April 15th. Yeah, okay, so let's go back. Anyway, and I'll tell you guys straight out, if you look at all the stuff, it's 2 days ago, May 9th, there's really not much that's updated as far as the Russian threat. China vows support for Russia, draws U.S. ire. Oh, that's great. Now it looks like China just completely backed Russia, which we already knew this. So China vows support for Russia, drawing U.S. ire. Why do you put that? Draws U.S. attention, or U.S. anger, or the discomfort of the kleptocratic Thefticons at Bilderberg Group, the Great New Reset, the brave new world people. President Xi Jinping on Wednesday, the 15th of June, assured Vladimir Putin of China's support on Russia's sovereignty and security, leading Washington to warn Beijing it risked ending up on the wrong side of history. History is written by the victors. History is basically whoever decides to get the publicity gets history. I've proven that with my other channels on Cannibal Giants and Geronimo and the Watchers. It's all whatever thesis or theory or whatever head of government decides they're going to write history, their opinion. It's all their opinion. It's not usually facts. Let's see. China has refused to condemn Moscow's massive military assault on Ukraine, and it has been accused of providing diplomatic cover for Russia by blasting Washington's sanctions and arming Kiev. China is willing. Remember, there's $1 bazillion of weapons being sold right now. This is the kleptocrats making their money. They need war is big business for the Democrats and the warhawks of Washington. War is business to these people. It's not about what everybody thinks. We spent 11 years in the Middle East. We're blowing up people in Yemen with the Saudis. We get all that money, all that massive investment money. Remember, it's all a racket. War's a racket. We were warned way back in the day about that. Let's see. Yeah. We went through that. It was a second reported call between the two leaders. Putin launched his invasion on Ukraine. We don't know what they said. We don't really know. This is a Moscow has been socially eliminated. Their avatar has been killed by the kleptocrats. They've exterminated the ability to be Russian. Nothing Russia should be. It's all cancel cultured. You just don't exist because you're Russia. Because we're canceling all of you. Look how this world's working out. Isn't this just a fantastic insanity of cancel culture? The lunatics have really ruined this place. We all know that. I mean, they've made a complete disaster out of this place, out of this country. Just complete. So, reading back from the letter from April that we didn't know about, that was sent to world leaders, that Zelensky warned us back in April about World War III and that Russia could use nukes on, well, all of us. CIA director saying we should not take it lightly. Really puts us here at this point in the war, with Russia supposedly gaining, supposedly not gaining, the long-range weapons coming in, the threat to blow up the Crimea Bridge, the threat to blow up where the weapons come from, which is Washington, the decision centers of NATO, really puts us in a really bad predicament. We still are in a massive death zone. We're still inside these deadly waters, and the entire time nothing is being done to solve the war, other than weapons. And now China is still with Russia. Nothing's changing on that end of it. So let's get off that subject for a little bit. The takeaway from all this is the mainstream media is not going to tell you what has actually happened or what's happening with Russia and Ukraine. It's all going to be back Ukraine, flags everywhere, Ukraine, I support Ukraine. It ain't worth dying over, guys. Apparently Ukraine is I'm willing to go to war and die for it and not listen to a single leader try to work for a peaceful solution. Okay, let's get on CNN. A team of nerd warriors is trying to destroy Russia's economy. Let's see. Let's just take this in perspective. Russia said a threat to their country would lead to a thermonuclear war first strike. But don't worry, a team of nerd warriors are out there trying to destroy Russia's economy. So, do we die for nerd warriors? Is that where we're at? This is where this insane asylum's at. Nerd warriors are going out there. They're just going to destroy the Russian economy. This upside down world. Putin lambasts the West and declares the end of an era of the unpopular world. Unipolar world. Whatever. So he's saying they're going to take over. Biden issues warning of Americans thinking of joining Ukraine. If you go over there, you're going to be executed. It's not going the way they're saying. What ex-communist nations know about joining the EU? Ukraine officials, military orders recovered from dead Russian officer reveal intel plan. Dead Russian officer. So let's flip this. Looks like Ukraine officials, let's just say Mexican officials, said military orders recovered from dead American officer. How would we feel about that, right? How would that just sneak in? War in Iraq, or let's just say that, war, let's just say, say Iraq, but we've got to be on the border, it's going to be Mexico. That's a dead American officer. Chip maker expect trouble as Russia limits exports of rare gases. This is what we wanted. This is support Ukraine, die to the end. Go to the end or just die, because their runaway inflation, the economic turmoil, the massive corruption, the greed is kind of coming out. People are starting to not pay attention to January 6th. They're not caring about January 6th. It's not on everybody's mind. It's even with the propaganda, January 6th is not really cutting it, because inflation is what's really cutting it. People are not dancing hard enough. New Mexico County Commissioner refused to certify election. Results sentence for role in January 6th attack. The day that'll live in infamy. Top Republican negotiator, gun package booed at Texas GOP convention. So they want to take our guns during World War III. Massive food riots are coming. Just guys, everybody's on the same page. massive food shortages. The richest nation in the world, the most energy independent nation is going to experience massive food shortages. And you can't have guns, right? We got to do gun control. We got to make sure nobody has a gun. We're the most armed nation in the world. Why? Well, when the chickens come to roost, they don't want you to have guns. Why would they not want you to have weapons? It's 1776, right? You don't want the people armed. Why would they want the people armed? Gun control. They could have controlled guns a long time ago, which they already have controlled guns. And basically, there's always guns that are purchased legally that ended up in the hands of bad people. This is the way things have been. It's been going on forever in this country. It's not going to change, and you can't disarm the people because we are a constitutional republic that have the Second Amendment, and they want to eliminate the Second Amendment. They cannot eliminate the Second Amendment because it shall not be infringed. They can try to rework that as many times as they want. It's just never going to actually happen. If they do make that happen, we're going to be in a lot of trouble as a republic. So everybody remembers that. Anyway, back on aboard January 6th, the world ended that day. Horrible committee, blah, 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 horrible stuff. What the Fed rate hike means for your salary. What the Fed rate hike means is you're going to be paying more for everything you borrow for. That means your credit card interest is going to go through the roof. That means that your value in your home, which was kleptocratically thefticon, driven by the pandemic dollar theft, it was unprecedented in the history of the world. We're talking in trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars in fake fiat currency from the future being taken from our grandchildren, dumped into the economy that went right back up to the Bezoses, the rich of the rich. You're going to lose what your value of your house was. So say that, it's 6.7 or something percent interest rate now. Well, I mean, there was a guy talking about that. 1% rate's like the entire budget of the U.S. military a year. That's how much we paid in interest. Not to mention the interest rate on our debt. Everybody realize that's going to go up too. So not only is this just going to affect me and you, it's going to affect everybody. It's going to affect everything. This is how they slow the economy down. They have to slow down a sizzling hot fake fiat currency economy when there is no real money behind it. It was just printed by Janet Yellen and HEROES acts and Build Back Better acts and all these other garbage acts that were just basically thefticon, bills passed for themselves and their buddies. That's all that was about. That money is gone. They say, well, it's back in the economy. It's not really back in the economy. It's fake fiat currency. We owe for that. It was debt dollar theft. It'll never be paid back. That's the deal. This is how you crush an economy. They spent all that money. Everybody was like, we run across the planet. I got to do it here. I got to go over here. Pandemic. Meanwhile, they were just sucking it all up. They're like, oh, yeah, well, we'll put $200 million this way. You ever wonder how they funded all their projects? That's how they do it. That's how they did. Anyway, what it means to us? It means, let's go check that out for a second, shall we? It's Friday. I'm off today. Okay, so those American workers have seen their wages climb faster than any other time since the 1980s, and they stole all that money with the wage hikes. Isn't it magical? They just keep doing that. We pay you guys more, but they took more. That's how they work. You're never going to get any of the money. It's never going to get better. This kleptocratic thefticon society ran by special interests. And all these guys that we vote in and end up working for Raytheon or one of the other Blackwater that's actually running the country, by the way. It's Blackwater that's doing that with the hedge fund investments. Anyway, but inflation has risen so fast the workers have actually been handed a pay cut instead. Yeah, they gave you more, they paid you more to go to work. But they took that money when it comes to inflation, which is the buying power of your dollar because all the fake fiat currency dumps they've been doing. So they never gave anybody a raise, really. It just looks better on paper. $10 an hour job before the pandemic, they paid people $24 an hour to sit on their butts and do nothing for a year and a half. And then they went ahead and they got back in the job market, so we'll pay you $22 to do the same job, but yet everything has actually doubled, if not tripled. There's a lie going on with the inflationary rate. It's always been a lie. They never tell you the truth about that. We all know this. We don't have to sit there and watch their miniing of everything. That the contraction of all the product, including the raising cost of the product that was once more. They've cut their supply, the product size down, in order to save money, and then they charge you more for the same product with less. It's a hell of a lot higher than what they're telling you. Anyway, that has meant wage hikes have eventually turned into losses, with the latest inflationary report showing consumer price shot up 8.6% for the year ending in May. Now, they've done way, way more than that. Consumers having to cough up an estimated $460 more every month than they did at the time last year to pay for the same goods and services. If that doesn't, $460. So if you're living on $18 an hour, and all of a sudden you got $460 more a month you got to pay for, how do you survive? Well, you just all pile into one house, sublease a room, put 5 people in one little house. We become like Europe or Venezuela. We literally, everybody piles into one place, and they say, okay, well, I'm paying $200, I'm paying $300. Communal living is what they're doing. It's called communism, guys. This is what's happening to all of us. They're throwing us into a communist debt dollar fake economy to implement Stalinist, Marxist communism. We all can see this coming and see it happening before our very eyes. In the middle of a nuclear war, possibly, and World War III. Yeah, they knew this is all going to happen. I said in my newscast prior they were actually going to do this anyway. They knew they was going to do this. They knew the end result was going to be like this. Do not believe anything you see. It's all propaganda orchestrated by the kleptocrat Defticons at Bilderberg and global financial hedge funds like BlackRock that's running our world. When the Fed meets and makes its policy decision, most people are not getting that what the Fed is saying is you are making too much money. Your wages are rising too fast, and we need to slow the demand for labor, and we need to slow the wage increase, said William Spriggs, an economic professor at Harvard University in Washington, the kleptocrat Defticon re-education camps. Sorry, but the wage growth is not to the material degree driving inflation. No, they want all the money. They want what is left. They want whatever's floating around in the economy. They want to get arms investments. They want to make trillions of dollars off arms. They want food shortages. They want fuel shortages. This all increases their bottom line. This is how they make money when the federal government, the reserve, will not pass, that's not a part of your government, won't pass out your debt dollars for the future that we pay in our paychecks. She won't hand it out to everybody. This is what happens when Janet Yellen stops writing fake fiat currency off of our backs to the kleptocrats. This is a global theft, guys, of the American system, and you're on the hook for this. I am too. I just got paid a huge wage, worked my butt off, dust, miserable condition, miserable. And I had to pay $500 in taxes. Why? Because I went the extra mile for the Defticons. Okay, let's get on the border, guys. There's a little article I read about that, which there's a meeting going on right now down there. Mayorkas, in my opinion, has orchestrated the largest mass migration in American history, along with Kamala Harris, which has been completely incompetent on purpose. 250,000 illegal immigrants that did not follow our systems or go through our legal processes were encountered on our southern border in May. 250,000, 250,000 people, mainly men, hit our southern border and crossed our border last May. You got to think, 1 out of 2, 1 out of 3 get stopped. You could be looking at as high as 750,000 people across our southern border in 1 month. This is the middle of summer, guys. This is the middle. Remember when they had the big crisis? They wouldn't allow, you go back on my newscast. They wouldn't allow any reporters down the border. Nobody was allowed down the border. I have it on my previous newscasts last year and this year. The Biden administration has been orchestrating one of the largest mass migrations into America we've ever seen, next to the Irish immigration, which was the Civil War preceded that, with the 8 million or 5 million Irishmen that hit the shores of, they came in, landed, they put them right in the military, and they went to fight the South. It was like 8 million people because of the potato famine, blight famine in Ireland back in the 1800s. This is the same type of thing. Massive migration that's underreported on our southern border. Now, everybody that crosses that border has a financial tag attached to them by the taxpayer. Okay, this is where we got to kind of put this together. They say, okay, it's going to benefit us with all these people coming in here. Massive, massive benefit to the people of the United States. Says the Green Party. Says the environmentalists. Says the ones who want to save the planet, stop carbon emissions, stop humanity from destroying the planet. But yet they bring up millions upon millions of people in the United States to cause exactly what they say they are fighting. Do you understand how this works? This is called reverse psychology. Psychology 101. They say one thing and do the other. They are bringing up millions of people. And it's not just in a year. Oh, a million people cross their southern border in a year. No. It's 250,000 supposedly admitted to. It could be as high as 750,000 people. It could be as high as 500,000 people cross that border. Legally, illegally, and those that didn't get stopped. They just walked across it, not to mention fentanyl and everything else. But you have to remember, they are going to cause a massive strain economically to the supply chain, to the housing market, because they're not just living on the streets, guys. You got to think about this for a minute. Where's everybody crossing the southern border? You're talking about 250,000 people in 30 days. Admitted. You can check it out for yourself. Where are they all staying? Who's paying for their housing? They're being busted, shipped across America. Are they living in a tent somewhere? You know, this could be 500,000 people. Are they living in a tent? Where are they living? We got to kind of put our heads together and understand what's happening here. Massive amounts of money has been sent to that southern border for a massive influx of people into a country that's trying to save the planet, while I'm watching the surrounding areas being bulldozed. People on I-15 look like they're bumper to bumper, just people everywhere. Save the planet, everybody's screaming. Save the environment. We gotta stop all this carbon emissions with millions of more people that cause the carbon emissions. We got a housing market that can't find housing. But yet we're bringing millions and millions of people in. Where's the room? You can't bring an entire city into the western United States and say another Salt Lake City and say, oh, I wonder why their resources were depleted. That's another thing that's happened. You got everybody screaming about drought. But yet you had one of the largest migrations out of California in the history of everything. Fleeing California, pummeling the West, destroying the resources, building everything everywhere, making kleptocratic money investments in land. That's what they're doing to everybody. Everybody's coming here. They're straining the resources. They're straining the water. They're straining everything. Infrastructure, schools, and everybody's wondering, well, we just got to cut back on the water. We got to cut back on the water. Well, no, you got to stop building subdivisions. You got to stop doing that. Well, why should we stop doing that? There's all that money to be made. It's fake fiat currency. It's all a lie, and it's going to come back to bite everybody in the butt. It's already started. Prices are going to tumble. The housing market's going to crash. Remote workers are going to lose their jobs. Why would they lose their jobs? Because the money's going back into the oil industry that is the buddies of actually Biden. And the kleptocrats in Washington say, oh, I say they're my... No, the higher prices you pay to them, the less has to go out to the rest of the guys. And they make their money. They make a lot of money off the rising inflation on fossil fuels. If you call them fossil fuels, they're not really fossil fuels. Everybody's making a bunch of money. But anyway, that's my take on that. We have a southern border wide open. We have millions and millions of people straining the economy. The millions of people causing massive shortages, on top of supply chain shortages, on top of China with the COVID outbreaks, on top of gas being cut off and refineries breaking down and all the other stuff that's going on with all Circle J or whatever. Circle 4 farms shut down. Oh, we got to get on that. Oh, I just got hit with a bad allergy. Let's get on to that one too. This is another thing I got to bring up. A lot of catching up. So Circle 4 Farms out west in Milford they actually grow hogs, and they grow hogs at a place called Hog Farms. There's farm bosses out there. They set up individual farms, raise pigs from babies to adults. They ship them off in trucks to California to be processed for pork. That's Circle 4 Farms. Anyway, they're shutting down. And guess who was all the investment in that company, right? I was out there building them. I was out there doing cement work. Guess who actually builds those things? Did all that. Funded all the money. China. Yeah. It's like they just shut down. They're going to shut down at the end of the year. They're going to lay off 250 people, possibly 350 people. All the truckers, all those pig farms in Milford, going to be gone. Going to all be gone. All the money invested in that, people went and got loans through the Chinese. Boof, poof, just gone. Economic what? What's happening? Oh, it's they're going to cut the supplies for what? Economic filthy profits. Shut down one major pork producer, invest in the other. And guess what you get? You get the fake bubble, the fake financial gains that they've been living off of. They find ways economically to make extraordinary amounts of money from the people. You're going to pay more for pork products. Chicken farm burns down, you pay more for eggs. You're going to have to pay more for chicken. This is how they make their money. War in Ukraine. Boom. Middle Eastern wars in. Oh, wait, we got Raytheon ain't making no money. Boom. Invested in massive military corporations. And guess what? Now Poland has to build the biggest army in the world, or Europe, along with Germany, which was announced last week and today, that both those countries are going to have very advanced military weapon systems and a very large-scale military to fight Russia. Guess who makes all the profits? Raytheon. All the other companies. Anyway, I'm going to end this. You guys have a great day. Allergies are killing me. Got to get this day on. I'll be back later tonight, hopefully, with some more news, do some more research, have some more fun, and we'll go from there. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you have a good time in the wind. Try to stay safe. Remember, smile. This is all just a big show. It's all a big reality show, and you're involved in it. So you just got to remember, laugh, smile, and go about your day and say, man, this place is crazy. This is like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. The problem is, yeah, the cuckoos rule the nest. So anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Have a great day.